Have you ever noticed that the way someone looks at you can say a lot more than their words? That lingering glance, that subtle smile, it's almost like a secret language. But when it comes to young women seeking intimacy, what are the questions really on their minds? Today, I'm diving deep into the 7 questions a young woman asks when she wants intimacy with you, not just in body, but in heart and mind too. And trust me, these questions matter more than you think. Welcome back to the channel. If you've ever found yourself puzzled by a woman's signals, her conversations, or those long pauses where it seems like she wants to say more, you're in the right place. This video isn't just for romantic hopefuls, but for anyone wanting to build meaningful, lasting connections. We're going beyond surface-level flirting. Get ready for an honest look at the 7 real questions that reveal when she's ready to move closer, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. When a young woman wants to move in that direction with you, she might not always verbalize her needs directly, but she will start asking, sometimes out loud, but often through subtle, thoughtful questions. And each one is a doorway, inviting you to step through and build a connection that's deeper and more fulfilling. Let's jump right into the first question. 1. Can I trust you with my feelings? Even if she doesn't phrase it exactly that way, this question lies underneath so many of her interactions. She may ask about your past, your relationships with friends and family, or how you've handled tough situations before. She's looking for clues. Are you kind when someone is vulnerable? Do you listen without judgment? Because intimacy only grows where trust is present. Imagine you're sitting together on a quiet night, and she asks, "Have you ever had your heart broken?" On the surface, she's curious about your story, but underneath, she's wondering, how do you handle pain? When you show up in your truth, you create a safe space for her to open up in return. But it doesn't stop there. She'll also pay attention to how you react when she shares something personal. If she tells you about a difficult relationship with a friend or family member, do you listen without jumping in to fix it? Do you empathize without judging? That's what she's really listening for. 2. Will you respect my boundaries? Every woman has her own pace when it comes to emotional and physical intimacy. When she's moving closer to you, she needs to know, will you honor her limits or push past them? This might come out as, are you okay with taking things slow? Or even, what do you think about waiting before we have sex? She may ask about your past relationships, not out of jealousy, but to learn whether you're someone who listens to her comfort zone. Imagine she's been clear about what feels safe for her, and you respond with patience and reassurance, not pressure. If you receive her boundaries as a sign of her self-respect rather than a rejection, she'll notice. Respect breeds trust, and trust is the real foundation of lasting intimacy. 3. Do you see the real me? This question is huge, and it goes to the very heart of intimacy. She wants to know, are you looking past her appearance, her social media, her public persona, and really seeing her fears, her dreams, her weird quirks? Maybe she asks, what do you like most about me? Or, what's your favorite thing about who I am? Your answer tells her whether you love her uniqueness or are just attracted to the surface. Here's a tip. Get specific. Instead of saying, you're beautiful, try, I love the way you laugh when you watch your favorite movie, or I admire how hard you work even when things get stressful. The more authentic and detailed your answer, the more she'll feel truly known, and that's the first ingredient of intimacy. How do you want to show love? And how do you want to be loved? A young woman who wants to deepen intimacy is curious about how you both express and receive affection. Maybe she asks, what's your love language? Or, how do you like to spend time together? She's not just making conversation, she's trying to find that sweet spot where giving and receiving love feels effortless for both of you. You might discover that she loves acts of service. Maybe someone making her coffee in the morning feels like a romance novel come to life. Or perhaps her ideal is quality time, with phones off and hearts open. Asking this question is her way of mapping out how the two of you can connect daily, not just during special occasions. This is also where you get to share your needs. Maybe you light up with words of affirmation, or maybe a loving touch is how you feel safe and cared for. When you name what you need, you give her permission to do the same. Also, if you're ready to fast-track your success, check out my new course in the description or comments for exclusive strategies. If she sensed you are guarded, distracted, or hesitant to talk about emotions, she might probe for reassurance. But if you meet her with openness, admit if you're nervous, and talk honestly about where you're at, you create a space for vulnerability. That's where true intimacy flourishes. She doesn't need you to have everything figured out. What matters most is your willingness to communicate, especially when it gets tricky. If you can say, "I get nervous about relationships too, but I want to work through that with you," she'll feel safe to invest emotionally. This also means being present, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. When she shares something important, do you really listen? Do you put down your phone, make eye contact, and respond thoughtfully? These little moments show her if you're there or if you're somewhere else entirely. 6. What are your desires and fantasies? If you can listen without judgment, share your own desires honestly, and make space for experimentation and exploration, it tells her you're ready for deeper connection, not just a shallow fling. But let's flip this too. When she shares something vulnerable, maybe a fantasy or concern, how do you respond? Approaching these talks with affirmation instead of shame is key. You don't have to say yes to everything, but communicating with compassion and curiosity, "Tell me more. I love learning about what you enjoy," is a powerful intimacy builder. 7. Can we grow together? Finally, one of the deeper questions on her heart is about the future, even if it's just unspoken. She may ask, "Where do you see us a year from now?" Or, "How do you think we can support each other's dreams?" At its core, she's asking, are you interested in journeying with her, not just today, but as you both change and evolve? When you encourage her growth and show excitement for her goals, she'll feel safe not just to love, but to become the best version of herself with you cheering her on. Let's step back for a moment. You might be thinking, that's a lot of questions. Isn't intimacy supposed to be, well, more natural? Here's the secret. These questions, whether spoken or simply felt, are what make connection natural and organic. True intimacy is built, not just stumbled into. It's made up of thousands of moments where two people choose openness, kindness, and curiosity over fear or pretense. You might recall that electric feeling when a conversation just flows, and suddenly you're both laughing, sharing memories, or even feeling the sting of tears. That's intimacy forming in real time. Every relationship, no matter how fiery the chemistry, eventually runs into challenges, routine, stress, even boredom. But when you make room for these small, vulnerable questions, you're investing in a bond that deepens with time, and that's how relationships go from good to truly great. You see, many people think of intimacy as a final destination, the ultimate goal of romance. But it's actually an ongoing process, a journey where both partners continue to learn about each other, adapt, and recommit. If you're watching this because you want the secret to making her feel closer, remember, listening and responding to these 7 questions in your own authentic way is the secret. Show her that you're present, patient, and unafraid of a little vulnerability, and she'll open up in ways you never expected. Let's recap these 7 questions and why they matter. First, she needs to trust you with her feelings, because intimacy cannot grow where there's no trust. Second, she wants to know you'll respect her boundaries, as real intimacy can never be forced or rushed. And 7th, perhaps most importantly, she wants to grow with you, not just now, but into the future. If you're thinking, how do I answer all of this without making it weird or awkward? Don't worry. You don't need a script. What really matters is your willingness to be honest, present, and kind. Instead of worrying about the right answer, focus on listening with your heart, answering with your truth, and above all, being a safe space for her to be herself. In fact, here's a challenge for you. The next time you're with someone you care about, partner, friend, or someone new, pay attention to the unspoken questions they might be asking. Offer them your trust, respect their boundaries, see their true self, speak about love, show your emotional availability, talk openly about your desires, and support their growth. You might be surprised at how deeply your connection grows. So, what about you? Have you noticed these questions popping up in your relationships? Thanks for watching. If you want to get the results you wish for fast, then check my limited time offer on my new course, which will skyrocket your success in dating. Click the link right now down below in the description or in the comments and grab this opportunity. See you in there.